Our latest client has asked us to switch from European American Express to American Express. He had been living outside Europe for a while and naturally he wanted the most powerful credit card in the world, which is the American Express issued in the US. When I say most powerful, I don't just mean in terms of benefits. I mean in terms of credit limit and spending power. It's the one that gives you, usually from the start, the highest monthly limit and where you can scale that limit very quickly over time. And while we were talking, he asked what other credit cards he could get and how to get there. So I decided to record this video to explain exactly what I explained to him directly. How to access the best credit cards and which ones you can actually get as a non-US resident 100% remotely without ever setting foot in the United States. I am Matteo Maglia, Partnership Manager at GloboBanks, the banking introduction company for international entrepreneurs. In this video, I'm going to walk through the entire process and all the requirements. I actually want to start with the requirements because very few people know them in detail. The first requirement, the most fundamental one, is having an ITIN number. The ITIN number is an identification code issued by the United States to non-residents. It's not the social security number, which is for US residents. The ITIN is specifically for non-residents. It's normally issued within 6 to 12 weeks by the IRS. To apply for it remotely, you can usually need to go through a CPA, an American accountant. It's not expensive at all, the cost is very low, and once you have this code, you can follow all these steps I'll go through to access the best credit cards. But it has to come first. The requirement to apply for this code is simply having a company in the United States, being a member of a US entity, single member or multi-member. An LLC works fine, as many people already have one. So, once you have an LLC, you can apply for the ITIN number. Once you have the ITIN number, you can move forward with anything else. And little parenthesis, we can also provide to you the ITIN number. And once you have the ITIN number, the next step is building a stronger connection with the United States. And I want to be clear, this doesn't mean establishing a center of interest. It doesn't mean risking being taxed in the US. It means a connection. What can that look like? A phone number, a bank account, and for the credit cards, I'm about to cover all the main US cards. You need both a US bank account and a US phone number. The phone number is easy to get. There are dedicated services for this, and this number can be linked to a European number, so-called get forwarded. Or it can work through email. The message, the call, the communication gets redirected. In any case, there are specific services we work with, and it's straightforward. Then there's the more complex part. Opening a physical bank account in the United States. No, Mercury and digital banks or etc. doesn't work, okay? We need not a fintech, not a virtual account, a physical established bank, recognized by the major American credit card issuers. This account needs to be opened in the US, either personal or business. If you want a business credit card, you open a business account. If you want a personal credit card, you open a personal one. In practice, the difference is smaller than it sounds, because a personal account can be linked to a business credit card and vice versa. The two can overlap. Usually, for someone going through this process for the first time and wanting their first US credit card, we do personal, because that's typically where you start. Now, what's the best personal credit card to apply for first? Once the US bank account is open, and the reason the bank account needs to be in place is that it needs to be linked. There has to be a relationship manager at that bank who makes a referral to the credit card issuer. Take Capital One. We have a long-standing working relationship with Capital One. Yes, what we do is open a bank account at a physical bank in New York, San Francisco, Miami, institution we work with, and the bank then gets linked to the Capital One card that needs to be issued. So, the best credit card to apply for first, even if your credit score is 0 because you are brand new ITIN number, even if this is your first US card from scratch, that's the Capital One Venture One. This card typically starts with a very low limit. We're talking about $500, maximum $2,000, and these limits need to be used very carefully. The main rule, I'll say it now, is to spend a maximum of 20 to 25% of the available limit. So you get $1,000, you don't spend more than $250 a month. and you repay it correctly, either manually or with autopay, which you can set up directly in the application. After that, once you've built your credit score, and building it means having the right type of account connected to the right card, used in the right way, all things we handle on behalf of our clients, the client doesn't need to know all the mechanics. What they need to do is spend the money correctly, and we tell them exactly how. So what to do, what not to do. After that, within a very short time, we're talking a few months at most, you can apply for a significantly more powerful card. Still personal, it's called the Venture, just Venture, nothing else in the name. This card typically gives a monthly limit in the range of $5,000 to $7,000. It varies by person, but that's the typical range. Once you have this limit, you still need to spend intelligently. Roughly a maximum of 30%. There are rules to follow. Once you've followed those rules, you can move to what I consider one of the best credit cards in the world, at least at the personal level, the Venture X. This card costs very little annually, like $395, compared to, say, the personal Amex Platinum, which now costs around $900. Year after their fees increase. So less than half the annual cost, and the Venture X gives you 10 points on every dollar spent on hotels, travels, that kind of thing. I personally travel constantly and I earn an enormous number of points from this. If in a given year I spend 50k on hotels, I get 500,000 points. 500,000 points, that's several business class flights. And on the top of that, this card gives 2 points on no spending across the board, evergreen. That's a feature the Venture X shares with regular Venture card. The difference is the limit. With the Venture X, it's completely personalized. It's not a standard figure, it varies significantly depending on your credit score at the time of application, and it's generally recommended to aim for a score of at least 650 before applying. The advantage of doing this through us is that we know exactly how to do it correctly, and we know how to avoid artificial driving your score down. We also know how many applications to make, when, and how long to wait between them. Because if someone gets a card approved today and then thinks, great, I'll apply for another one next month, the moment you do that, your credit score drops. Why? Well, because the system sees you're applying for more credit and it rates that as a signal that you need it, that you're not managing it the right way. So it reacts by lowering the score to prevent issuing another card. The same thing applies if you use the same ITIN number and you usually only have one, to apply for a personal card and then immediately a business card. They seem separate, but the credit score is tied to the same ITIN. So they see both and get concerned and say no to the second one. It has to be done in the right sequence with the right timing. Now, we covered personal cards. The best ones are capital ones. On the business side, the two I recommend, and this can be applied for relatively early, even before reaching the most powerful personal card, are two that work well once you've built a bit of credit history with a first personal card like the Venture one and then the Venture. You don't need to reach the most powerful personal card first in order to then go for the really strong business cards. When I say powerful, I don't mean just spending power. True, American Express remains the strongest in terms of monthly limits. I mean, powerful in terms of benefits and the value you can extract. The first is the American Express Gold Business. This is my personal favorite credit card, business or otherwise. The reason, it gives 4 points on the first 150k spent in specific categories: advertising, software, selected business expenses. For anyone running an online business, these categories are completely realistic. If you spend $150,000 in a year on Facebook, Google, or other advertising platforms, you earn 600,000 points, potentially worth $50,000, from what is essentially a very small investment to access the card in the first place. The annual fee on this card is around $375 to $395, under $400 per year. So the second business card I've used for years and generally love is the Inc. Business Preferred, issued by JP Chase, one of the largest banks in the world. It costs $95 per year, essentially nothing, and gives 3 points under the same logic as Amex. Different issue. In some cases, if someone already has a reasonably established credit score, we can bypass the bank account opening step entirely and go direct to the Inc. business preferred. All of this has to be done with a professional, with a team that knows the processes, has a relationship with these institutions and knows how to get things done correctly. Otherwise, you can destroy your credit score in a matter of seconds. If you want to understand for a specific situation how long it takes, in what sequence, which cards make sense for you, just click the link in the description below. You'll speak with an expert consultant from our team. We have very few consultants because knowing every product and every detail inside out requires real expertise. They do know them and they'll walk you through exactly what you need. What comes first, what comes after, how long each step takes, and what result you can expect in what time frame. Get in touch, tell them you watched this video and you want more information about the card you're interested in, and they'll help or they'll tell you directly which card makes the most sense for your situation based on an analysis of where you are.